Poducer.
Yo, what's up, guys? Welcome to Poducer, the podcast for producers. Today we're joined by the Allo crew. What's good?
What up?
What up?
Yo, and Joe from NSW.
Yo, what's up, guys?
So, what should we talk about? No, I'm just kidding. Just like, what do you
Credit score.
What do you guys do? First of all, like each individually, maybe if you guys can just introduce yourselves.
I'm TF Marz, aka Marley. I guess you can have my government name.
No, you didn't have to. You didn't have to.
No, cut that out. Just Marley is all you have to know about me. Yeah, I live in Denver, Colorado. Grew up on the West Coast, in Oregon. Mainly, so that's kind of how I got into bass music, was being in the Northwest kind of bass music scene, coming up on the West Coast, going to, festivals like What the Festival and Shambhala and, it's like Sasquatch, all those kind of, Northwest-centric festivals. And, been making music since I was like 14 years old. Saw hip-hop producers using MPCs and was like, I want to do that. And so, I went out and got like a little MPD and started making beats, and it's just been making beats, man.
Here we are now.
For a long time.
Nice.
Yeah.
My name's Parker. I go by parkbreezy. DJ, producer, artist. All low head. We run this together, but yeah. That's
What's
me.
up? Welcome.
Thank you.
I'm Phil. I go by Pheel. DJ, producing. Yeah.
All that.
Yeah.
Also goes by Paul.
Yeah, also Paul. It's only in certain moments.
Okay, cool. So since this is an NSW collaboration, let's talk a little bit about the history of like you guys working together. Joe, you were telling me that you booked them like 2017 or something, like back.
Yeah, so 2019.
Oh, okay.
I think it was.
Yeah.
So 2019, back when we were doing stuff at Cairo Ale House. My partner Brian, who's one of my main partners with NSW and was the other half of Swamp Woofer, kind of just like came across Phil and Parker's music through SoundCloud, just kind of like online blog type stuff, and we brought him out for, it was like a 420 kind of like marketplace type vibe. Had a bunch of vendors, some like CBD stuff, obviously with them doing like kind of the very beat focused hip hop type stuff, just kind of fit the vibe of what we were going for, and really dug what they were doing at the time, and brought them out. I feel like you guys kind of were starting around that time too, as were we, so it was kind of just a cool thing to get involved with like another crew that was pushing something very similar to what we were doing, and here we are all 6 years later still doing the same shit, and still doing it together, and it's cool to see. It's super cool to see.
Yeah.
Do you know how many shows you guys have done together?
Off the top of my head, I should know that, but I want to say like 3 or 4 with like Parker and Phil.
Sure,
this is
3.
actually the first time we've had Marley out, so super cool to have him out.
Hey.
Long time coming for sure.
Yep.
Super long time coming. Have always been a fan of his stuff as well, and I want to say like 3 or 4 times for Parker and Phil. They've played some other stuff in Chicago as well. I want to say this is probably one of the cities you guys have played the most in, more or less.
Yeah.
And it's always a pleasure. It's always a good time. I definitely consider these guys some of the artists I've had the pleasure of getting closer to over the years, and are definitely friends more than artists that we work with, more than anything. So it's been awesome.
Hell yeah, nice. Are you guys excited for the show tonight at The Point?
The Point.
The Point. Have you guys played the? Oh yeah. We got the dubs up.
Appropriate dubs on it.
No, haven't played The Point yet.
Okay. Yeah, it's a cool little
What's the
space. It's what's the vibes? Like they got function ones, right?
Yeah, function ones. They got a cool LED
party.
wall,
Yeah.
like 250 cap kind of like bar venue type spot, Phil, you played there one time with us. I think
played there with Joe.
with Joe, right? With Joe Thought Process, who's the other piece of Allo Collective.
Yeah, I talked to Joe at Lunar Tide. I love
right.
Joe. He's so nice.
Sweet. He's a sweet
Joe's
boy.
I remember specifically, like, he had these little, I don't know what they're called when you have like smile like creases here, but when I
Crow's feet.
look, yes, he had like just subtle that, and I was like, this guy smiles a lot. I like this guy. You know what I mean? And some people would be like, dude, you shouldn't be as expressive with your facial muscles because you're gonna get wrinkles. Fuck that.
He's not
Smile, dude.
Smile more.
Not gonna be a
People are
Kardashian
always
over
saying
here.
that.
Take
to me.
notes from Thought Process. Smile more.
Smile.
People tell you that? No.
He's a smiley boy for sure.
Sheesh.
I thought
All
it was
right.
frowning that made you more wrinkles.
It's basically just don't move your face.
Yeah,
Yeah,
just,
just be-
neutral face.
Yeah, no emotions.
Motionless.
You're good.
Learn something new.
Let's like go into kind of, how All Low started. I feel like that's something I would like to know more about, and I know you guys started in 2017. Like, how have things, how did they start, and now where are we at?
So when we started, me and Phil met each other both working at the Black Box. He was looking for a roommate. I needed a roommate. We moved in together. We started making beats together. And our music really meshed well together. We made music like Too Fast, and we had like a whole little EP that we were crafting and kind of developing this sound that really didn't feel like it fit in anywhere else. And so 2017, I think we came up in like the SoundCloud era, like just towards the end of it. And then we got to the point where we were like, oh, let's get our music on Spotify, global streaming platforms that are, a little bit more, that's like the next level. And so I was looking into how to get that going, started a label through DistroKid, and then they asked a question like, what is your label? And I looked at Phil, I was like, what do we do? Let's like start a label. Let's like do something. Let's make a name for a label and start putting some music under it. And All Low kind of just stuck because the music that we were making was just very like lo-fi hip hop influenced with like a lot of low frequency like bass music inspiration as well. So it was kind of like bridging those two gaps and blending those two worlds. That's kind of like where All Low comes from. It's lo-fi, low frequency.
I love that. When I read that, I was like, that's me. Like, when I make music, that I feel like that's my style as well. So when you guys said that, I was like, damn,
Yeah.
that's cool as fuck.
Well, it's kind of like when we were both working at the Black Box, which is predominantly like,
bass
music, like
bass.
Back then, just
dubstep.
dubstep. It was just dubstep.
And
It
so-
felt
Lots
like
of dubstep for sure.
And so I think before, when we were both running sound and doing like sound stagehand stuff, after we set up the decks and, there's like an hour before the doors start, we'd like sound check some music. And I remember like playing some tunes, and Phil was like, wait, is this you? Like, that's hip hop? Like, and we just kind of like, mashed out
I
that.
remember literally as soon as everybody would rush and get their shit done, like setting up, and everybody that worked there would just go and just like plug in and play, and like they're all just playing dubstep, and like I don't have that type of stuff, I don't know it, and I would always just like stand off to the side. And then it was like the one shift we had a meeting, so me and Parker, we had the same job, so we never worked together. So we were both there for this meeting, and then like they're just like, why don't you guys plug in? And like, we don't have any dubstep. And then he just comes over like, what do you got? And I was like, hip hop stuff. And he was like, no fucking way, I thought I was the only person here. And then that's where it's just like, it just clicked right from there.
Yeah. So he invited me over. We started making music. I brought over a stack of records, and that was like the first time that we ever like chopped it up and made some music, and kind of clicked really well on that. And then I like to think of the story of All Low as like two different points in time. Like, All Low music kind of started with me and Phil, and then there's the collective side of things where we started venturing into like live music, throwing events, takeovers, and that really started with Marley doing his curation series back in 2017 after he just moved to Colorado.
Yeah.
And I'll let you kind of like pick up on that.
Yeah. So like, I moved to Colorado, and I had been doing like kind of my sort of West Coast version of, hip hop, low frequency kind of influence stuff. And I'd been living in LA and was really kind of influenced by that kind of selection sound. but there was like still a more bass music element to what I was doing, and so I felt it was quite different. And then I moved to Denver because I was like, LA is so saturated. Denver is such a good space for music, and there's no one doing this kind of like hip hop thing out there. And so I ended up connecting with a venue owner, and I was like, yeah, I want to throw this event, like cutting edge bass music, soul, and hip hop. And he's like, okay, yeah, let's do it. And so sweet. I'm going to set it up, and I'm like realizing like, oh, I need gear. Like I don't have any CDJs or anything like that. So my homie Hunter, who grew up in Jersey, and is really good friends with a lot of Parker's good friends, and also Phil's good friends. And he was like, yeah, I know these guys that have CDJs, and like they do like hip hoppy stuff. It might be a good fit. And so they came out and brought the CDJs. I had never met them until that night, and then we like did a back-to-back together and everything at the end of the night. And I was just like, you guys want to do this like every month? Like you just want to keep coming back every month? And so we did that for like 6 months. And I think the very last one, we had Joe, Thought Process, on that show. So that was kind of like the first show we ever all played together. And then I think that was maybe April of 2018. So they had just started releasing music on Allo, maybe on, I think it was like December 2017 or something like that.
Yeah.
And so then we were like, the event got ended because not enough people showed up, which I love to note because of just, it shows like the journey of it all, you know?
Oh, wow, yeah.
And, but yeah, and then the following summer, these guys were like, yeah, we're like starting to do the label stuff. You want to be a part of it? Like we're putting together this compilation. We want to like keep it going, you know? And I was like, you already know that I'm in, and I was super down. And so then like December 2018, the first compilation came out, and pretty much just been rolling ever since, grinding.
And what are you guys on now? 8 or 7? Or
We just did 7.
7.
7
Okay.
in January, yeah.
Yeah, congrats.
It's been a little sporadic. It's kind of just like whenever the time feels right, we'll be like, okay, let's get another compilation together and tap in and see. Because like the network of artists change, the roster kind of changes as like the years go by, like, and so
Yeah.
just felt like the right time, you know.
So when you say that you like, you know, you send out the bat signal to like say we're gonna do a compilation, like from that to completion, is it like a pretty quick process?
No,
Not at all.
No.
I
Okay.
wish.
waiting for artists.
I
to
mean,
send
this
in
last one probably it was like maybe even 2 years
Yeah.
in the making, probably.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah,
I
just like
mean-
having the idea and be like, okay, we got to get a compilation going, and then
Yeah, then
I mean,
some people will start sending tracks in like super early and like, all right, cool, we got that locked. And then it's like all these other people, like the ideas of like, oh, they would be really sick to do this, or like somebody that's not maybe making something chill, like, you know, Vide, like he wasn't doing that much, like he was making it, but he was just like wasn't releasing it. And then he put that track out with us, and it was like one of the highest played tracks that we've had, like
Yeah.
on compilations.
I feel like how our compilations come out are pretty indicative of like how we kind of operate as like artists and as a collective. Is like we don't force things. We kind of let it like come together in like a natural way that just like feels right. Because it just feels like that you give the space for the art to be like what it is, you know, rather than being like, well, we need the tune now, you know. It's like it's more important to us that we get this artist, or we heard this idea that this artist had, and give them time to develop it, than to like be pressing and like, you know, force something out.
Yeah, that makes sense.
Yeah.
I mean, yeah, it's good to have structure and like a timeline, but at the same time, you guys are putting out, you know, art, and you're putting out music. It's different when it's yourself too, right?
Yeah.
Right.
Exactly.
But cool. Okay. So I also was curious if there was, you know, you guys were talking about how like there weren't a ton of people doing what you were doing in Denver, which is surprising to me, because now when I think about it, I'm like, oh yeah, I can totally see that. And I think about like maybe like a Pretty Lights figure doing something adjacent, maybe. I don't know. I
think the inspiration for All Low wasn't really so much like Pretty Lights esque inspired stuff.
Sure.
It was more like, you know, for me, like I really thought of labels like Cord Marauders
Okay,
Or,
this
like,
was the
Great
question is like any other people
Yeah.
around you at that time who influenced
for me, like
you?
Yeah.
the reason
Yeah.
that I was so into like 140 dubstep music, like it was mostly artists like Jafu, Kanji, Geode, like of Cord Marauders that were pushing this. Pushing this
I'm
like
so
more,
glad I bought
more
that.
melodic side of dubstep, you know, and it kind of like spoke to me in a way of like, you know, infusing a lot more melodic stuff into bass music. Just felt like wasn't happening in, you know, where we were, like, you know, like the UK, you know, these guys are pushing this sound, but it didn't seem like it was like a lot of people, like when we were doing that first back-to-back, that was like a lot of the stuff that we were rinsing in those
Yeah.
back-to-backs. And that's kind of like how we clicked on it. We were like, okay, Soulection, Cord Marauders, like that is like the
Right.
sound that we
It's
were
kind of like the two sides of like where we were kind of coming from. Well, not necessarily two sides though, because I think that's like indicative of maybe like where Parker was coming from, where I was coming from. But then also I feel like Phil
Mhm.
has such an influence with his sound and like kind of with the more like, you know, trip hop, like tippery kind of vibe. Like
Mhm.
Phil brings this other aspect, and same with Joe, kind of coming more from that side, you know?
Mhm.
And it's kind of what's created like this very unique but like makes sense sort of sonic thread that runs through everything that we do, you know?
Yeah, and I feel like before you guys said you do a lot on Pheel, but like, yeah, when you're trying to curate the sound of all though, like, is there anything that like really sticks out there? Like, yeah, this is just not going to be on the compilation.
Yeah,
like this
for
is just
sure.
not
For
the
sure,
sound.
sure. Yeah.
For sure.
It was definitely-
It needs to be like melodic, you know? Like it has to have like
soul.
like yeah, some like
For sure.
emotion to it, you know?
Yeah.
And there's so much electronic music that like it's banging, like sounds great, well produced, like and can be super fun, but like it lacks that emotion, you know? Because I think for all of us, it all like how Phil and Parker connected was because they were like, oh, I don't have dubstep shit, like I have this like hip hop stuff, you know? Like for us, I don't think I'm going too far to say that like hip hop comes first in front of like electronic music or anything like that, right?
That's like that's the first inspiration, you know what I mean?
Right.
Like when I was in middle school, you know, like that's what I was listening to. Like electronic music wasn't super popular,
Yeah.
you know.
Yeah, no.
Until I was in high school for me, you know, and so hip hop was like the main influence. When I started making beats, it came, you know, like you said, like MPCs, watching the producers that are doing that, like actual techniques was like hip hop production techniques, you know.
Any specific acts for you guys that you'd note as main influences, key influences, solo stuff for the label, etc.?
Yeah, and also real quick, Parker and Phil, you guys can bring the mic slightly. Marley's like on it. Yeah, your mic
better?
sounds good. Yeah, that sounds good.
better like this?
Yeah,
Okay,
yeah,
cool.
yeah. Thank you.
Yeah.
Key influences.
I mean,
I know
You
you
know-
know, Selection, Cord Marauders.
yeah,
kind
but
of,
like
yeah.
hip hop producers even more like, I mean, I'm gonna be real. I'm here in Chicago, and I know this is not like the guy that you want to be pointing out as like an inspiration, but like for real, Kanye was like my first huge inspiration. Like,
Oh,
seeing
bro,
him on the MPC.
Chicago still runs that. It's I
Yeah.
know it's a complicated time.
I mean, it
but-
feels a little
It's
icky to
touchy
play his
subject.
music now, you know, but like,
Chicago still reps Kanye.
yeah, yeah. I
Yeah.
mean, well, he made some amazing music, and like as a producer, super inspiring for me. Jay Dilla, I mean, DJ Premier, Questlove,
Madlib, Alchemist.
DJ Quick. I mean, Dr. Dre. I'd be remiss if I didn't mention him. Like, there's so much.
Get down with some Nujabes.
Yeah.
Oh yeah,
definitely.
Nujabes,
Yeah, of course. Yeah,
definitely.
for sure. Yeah. I mean, I think all of us are definitely like students of hip hop and have gone pretty deep. For me, especially personally, like I've worked in record stores since I was 14 years old, and so being into music has just kind of been like a thing, you know. And
Mhm.
so loving hip hop, like you quickly find out the producers are like the real sauce behind all of it, right? You're like, why did I love that song so much, and why did I love that song so much, and that song so much? Oh, because Timbaland produced all of them.
I don't
Or,
know
like,
why I was thinking.
you know,
Timbaland.
it's because he like, if you're like
Yeah.
thinking about something sick from like the late 90s, is like probably produced by Timbaland, or, you know,
Yeah.
like
So
but Yeah. I mean, so many influences, and you'll see it like when we play, and especially in the back-to-backs. It's like we're always pulling out some old, legendary, well-produced hip-hop track,
For sure.
That's kind of like production influences. Phil, specifically for you, kind of how'd you get into like turntablism, kind of influences on like that side of things? I just want to like touch on that a little bit too.
Joe's a natural. First podcast, by the way. Give me a dub siren,
Yeah,
brother.
Honestly, I got really into it. I saw DJ Craze. I was working at this tent company, and we set up tents for festivals and shit. And there was this one festival, we set it up, and the guy running is like, if you are off for the weekend, I'll give you unlimited guest list. Like, we have nobody coming to this festival, basically. So it was like me and like 3 of my friends went, and never heard of Craze, but went to the set, and it was just like, I've seen a lot of sets from him being more like, like playing the room, where it'd be like big room house and stuff like that. But like, this was like a hip hop set, and it was just like went off scratching the entire time, and I've never heard it. And I was just like literally, I felt like my jaw was on the floor the entire time. I was like, damn, I want to learn how to do that. So I was like, next year I went to this school called Dub Spa, which isn't around anymore. But like the second time I went there, they had a turntablism class, and I was in between picking a visual class and the turntablism. I was like, I could pick one or the other. But like after seeing Craze, and then Shifty was the teacher for it, so I was like, all right, like I know Shifty, so I'm like, well, I'll do that. And so I was in the middle of that class. I was probably like 5 months into the 6 months of it, and then went to Camp Bisco, and it was the first time I saw a tipper, and it was like him scratching with like actual like made sounds, and not just like your typical or like vocal samples and stuff like that. So then that just opened a whole new world of it into my mind with what you can do with it.
Does Tipper have his own signature? I'm not like the biggest Tipper fan. I like his music a lot, but does he have his own like sound analogous?
He's got little squiggly kind of things. I don't even know what it is, but like I don't know, just the way that like then you start moving it back and forth with the record and then cutting it out, like it creates a whole different tone compared to just like, a lot of people just use the regular like vocal samples, the ahs, the fresh and shit like that. But yeah, that was just like open a whole nother things of like possibilities with it.
Yeah, that makes sense. Actually, I like always start the podcast with a icebreaker question, which is, what is your first concert? And I feel like now that we're reminiscing, maybe we just hit that. If anybody wants to start / remembers, it doesn't have to be a
first concert you remember or first concert
that you went to and would, I guess, remember. You could do like, maybe if you were brought to a concert as like a very young child, that might not count, but you could still throw it out there.
I mean, got a cool one.
I was about to say the same thing. I was like, got some crazy shit.
So
deep roots in this.
So yeah,
I saw
like
Jerry.
No, it's like literally. No, I was pretty much born into this. Like my parents threw their first music festival 3 days before I was born.
No shit.
What?
So if you want to get like real down to it.
Oh yeah. Wait, what was it called?
It's called One World Music Festival. It was in Telluride, Colorado. And like, I don't know if you're familiar, but Baba Olatunji, like legendary African artist who worked with like John Coltrane and stuff, like blessed my mother's belly while I was in it. Like
this all adds up.
And like, so there's that. I think the first show that outside of the womb that I was taken to was I think was Pink Floyd. I'm pretty sure my dad said.
Oh my god, these are wicked.
Mine is so lame.
And then like the first
mine's
I think the first one I really like remember like going to and being like, whoa, we're at a show, was Rolling Stones Bridge to Babylon tour.
What?
I believe.
Just flex on.
I'm sorry, I went to the Fray, bro. That's crazy.
Marley, what's your credit score? 2.
Break it out. Damn.
That's in the bonus content.
That's killer.
Yeah.
All right. Well, you can settle down.
Yeah, I'll settle down.
Yeah.
Sorry.
Damn, that was sick though. Damn.
Yeah. My first concert, my dad was really big into a lot of different music. I think the first one he brought me to was Santana.
Nice. I've heard a few Santanas.
Santana or the Doobie Brothers. Like there was
Fire also.
Hell yeah.
one of those two. But Yeah, he was always trying to take me to anything and anything that was around. But those are the first two that I remember. Santana was probably it.
Nice.
Yeah, my parents weren't really into music, live music, anything like that. Like, I didn't have any influence of any of the stuff from them. The only influence I really had was like my cousin Carl growing up. He kind of like bounced around like our whole family's houses and everything, and he's the one who, like, when I was in 3rd grade, like showed me Big L, Biggie, like all that.
It's a good man.
But my first concert was Backstreet Boys when I was
Nice.
Wait, that's so lit.
2nd grade.
Let's go.
I remember my cousin Joanna and like 2 of her friends, like they lived down Long Island, and they came upstate and picked me up and brought me back down to the city for it. And I just, like, I don't remember the show, but I remember after the show just walking out and just throwing up all over the parking lot.
What? Why?
I have no idea. It's just like, obviously I'm not
Bill was
drinking.
not a fan, okay?
No, I loved Backstreet Boys back then.
How old
but
were you?
it was in 2nd grade, so 7 years old, something like that.
Wow.
But yeah, I don't know.
Wait,
I just remember that, and they were just like, oh, like, and it's like,
I guess
you know,
had a
there's
good
like all these
time.
other kids like they're probably just like going there getting drunk, and like I'm just like this little 7-year-old kid and like getting taken care of. The
You
same
probably
way.
had like too much candy.
Overstimulated.
It probably was too much candy and
much
overstimulation.
candy,
It was
yeah.
definitely candy.
Dude, it was the
yeah.
Backstreet Boys moves, man.
But dude, they
And
got
their
my
voices.
stomach churning.
Yeah.
He was so nervous, you know,
Yeah.
to even be that close.
So
to
close to Nick.
Oh my.
Yeah, wait. Was that your favorite one?
I can't remember if it's Nick. Yeah, Nick Carter was right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Rip.
His favorite one.
Rip.
Yeah.
Oh,
Yeah.
fuck. I didn't, yeah.
Isn't he from Chicago?
It got dark at the end.
I believe the Carters are from Chicago. I might be wrong though.
I feel like you should have a computer to like.
Yeah,
Yeah.
Joe.
Yeah,
No,
quick
normally,
facts.
What the hell,
Joe?
producer?
normally
Yeah,
you
what do
do. Actually,
That's the position. Yeah.
that is 100%. I didn't want to give you too much to do.
Next time,
That's your
next
job.
time we'll level up into that. I
Yeah.
have the dub siren.
So just
now.
take my word for
Yeah.
it.
Yeah,
One job at a time.
Once
Yeah,
you get
one
the dub siren, all the doors are unlocked.
Exactly.
So, you know, something that... Yo, what's up, guys? It's your host, Jerry, again. I really hope that you're enjoying today's episode. I know that I enjoyed having the conversation. Just gotta be that squeaky wheel here and let you guys know to please go subscribe, hit that like button, leave a comment. Honestly, the 5-star reviews on the podcast platforms, that's big too, because otherwise it just doesn't get promoted, and it's, you know, we're fighting that upward battle. That uphill battle. But yeah, I know you're just thinking in your head like, Jerry, can we get back to the episode? Yes we can. All right. I feel like is interesting is you guys have a lot of collaboration projects among you guys. Can we just break them all down? Like, we got Hoodie Weather.
Hoodie
We
Weather.
got
We got Morning Coffee
Okay.
with me and Phil. We've got Groove Sauce with me, Phil, and Joe.
Mm-hmm.
I've done a collab EP with Marley as well. Hoodie Weather is the newest one though that I'm really excited about. With Rasp 5 and
Shout out Unger.
Shout out Unger.
Alex. Yep.
and Lucinda, who's the vocalist, and she's got some incredible pipes, and that's been a fun project just to like work on mixing down vocals and stuff. That's new for me, so it's something that I'm like really trying to venture off into, and it's been a lot of fun to work with Alex, who's a great writer, and he's able to like craft these worlds with the beats that I send him, and it turns into a final product. So it's really cool, and I think that's a beautiful thing about collaboration in general. With any of these guys is like you make a product that you never could on your own, and it's something that's like special and unique, and brings you closer. Like, I just think that collaboration is just like the most important thing, especially as a producer. It's like you can make 100 beats that just sit on a computer, but until you have somebody that's like, that's a good idea, like that, it takes that kind of like bouncing the idea off of somebody to be like, oh, well, maybe this could live in the world, or we should finish this or turn it into a song and actually do something with it. I think that's like a big part of collaboration, helps push things forward more.
I think that's also the sign of a good producer is that you're like, it's not ready. Like, those guys where it's like they put everything out and you're like,
Yeah.
hold on, maybe. No, I mean, not to throw any shade, but like,
But there's a healthy balance, right?
Right.
'cause
Yeah.
I think I think that people get so caught up in not releasing stuff. I mean, I was definitely one of them, for a long time. I mean, I've been making music for so long, but like my catalog would not reflect like that. It doesn't reflect that, And I think people get really caught up in being like, this is the defining thing of who I am as an artist, right? Especially when you don't have a lot of work out there. So then that's putting so much pressure on like the music, that piece of music, right? Which really, like, every song is kind of just an encapsulation of where you are at that like moment, right? So you can't really like, it's not fair to place your entire being as an artist on this like one piece that just reflects this tiny little moment in time. So I think there does need to be some sort of action from the artist to like put stuff out and not filter it too much, And on the flip side, like, you don't know what people are going to like too. There might be stuff that like you don't feel like is super good, and then you put it out and it connects on, such a huge level for somebody else.
I was about to say, as like a consumer, I feel like, do you really even know what people are going to like or how they're going to react to it until you kind of put that out there,
Right.
Not saying you should put out everything and anything, but,
Yeah.
I think Rick Rubin said it. The consumer comes last. Right? Something like that.
Yeah, he says like, you're doing a disservice to your audience if you're thinking about your audience when you're creating your art, right? You need to disregard what anyone is expecting or wanting from you, because then all of a sudden you're not being like true to like your creative process and like what you're making, right? Like, because you should just be making stuff because it feels good, not because you're anticipating some sort of reaction, right? You got to create art simply for the sake of the creation of the art. All the other shit you can't control. It clouds it. It cheapens it, right? Because all of a sudden, if you're basing the value of what you're creating and putting all this time into based on like how many listens it gets or likes it gets or something like that, like, you're bound to be disappointed and unhappy with like the work that you're creating.
Kind of like a create art, not content type of thing.
Yeah, totally. I mean, it goes back to like who we are as Aldo. Like, that's why we've had the success that we've had, is because at a certain point, out of almost like the need to just like cope with everything, because people would not come to our shows, would not come like to things that we did. We were just like, you know what? We like this music. We're going to play this music. This is what we enjoy. This is who we are. We're just going to keep doing this, right? And whether it catches on or not, like, at least we have 3 friends that like to do it, and we can all hang out and like share our music, And I think that's what's connected with so many people, is that like we're not trying to do anything besides just make something that's honest and real to us, Yeah,
it's not like formula chasing. Like, oh, that really did good, so we should do that again.
Right.
It's weird because that's advice that you hear, especially for content. People are like, find that video that really worked and just make 1 million of those. And it's like, is that the best advice for art?
I don't think so. I think being authentic, I think he touched on a little bit, but enjoying the process, like enjoying the collaboration, enjoying the time in the studio with somebody else, enjoying just like messing around in the studio to create something and find those happy accidents. I think that's like, and the root of it is like just enjoying making music and enjoying like the people that you make music with, that's kind of an experience with the art. It's like, I look at like, a discography, and for me, like it reminds me of like periods of my life, not everything is going to be the best thing. When I release music, I always want it to be better than the last thing. That's like kind of like a standard that I uphold to myself. But that's kind of goes back to just like, the crippling.
Right. Because like, what does better even mean?
Right.
Maybe the mix is continually better.
Right.
Or something.
Like
for sure. But like, there's all there's those songs that we all love that you're like, yeah, the mix is kind of shit, but the idea is incredible and I love it, that communicates way more than like us nerds, like producer nerds who like know the ins and outs, like are thinking about it for,
I feel you. Yeah,
I mean,
for
I think
sure.
that's part of like a problem in kind of just the scene, art scenes, and just a lot of stuff right now is people are really going for like the perfect song or like the perfect ideal. But like, I feel like some of the best art is like because of imperfections in it, or
Right.
like, inconsistencies in it,
Well,
etc. You know what I mean?
I think just to piggyback off that, it's such a subjective thing. It's like what I think is perfect, maybe not what you think. So like for me, what I'm chasing in the studio is better than the last is like what I'm holding my standard to, like what I think is good, what I think is, you know, a good mix down is like I'm trying to achieve that, you know, like something that I think is good, you know, not like what other people think is good, you know.
I feel you.
And just like always like learning more and growing in the studio, like you can always like, I think that's the beautiful thing about music production is there's, you know, every time I get in the studio I feel like I'm learning something new, or I think that's like the best way to find inspiration is to try and teach yourself something new or try to like reach another point, you know.
You know what's something that I always like, because I make a lot of hip hop music, I make some house music, but I would always think when I'd make hip hop, like, oh, you know, like it would be more complete with like a rapper. But I really do love listening to just like instrumentals.
Right.
Is that something like, have you guys ever thought about that concept? Like, is the song complete without a vocalist and just like, you know?
It's,
Yes, I
that is
agree.
literally my
Yes.
like to me like my biggest. I don't want to call it a struggle,
I
but
think
like,
about it a lot.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I mean, because to be honest, I think of myself more of as a hip hop producer than I do as like an electronic music producer. Like, I don't write like big drops or like I'm not super sound designy or anything like that. I'm more just like looking for a vibe, right? And like I'll rock a loop like for most of the track, like the same bass line or whatever, you know, like, and I feel like that's super hip hop production. And I always find myself being like, yeah, it needs a vocal. Like, it needs a vocal, you know, like.
Or like you show it, like my sister, for example. She's kind of, I love you to death, but like she's kind of a normie when it comes to music.
Right.
And like when I remember specifically, she gave her a bunch of music and she's like, yeah, it's great, but like I just feel like I need music with like a little bit of a vocal on it. And I was
Right.
like, that's fair. I don't feel like I need that. So I'm sure there's a lot of people that feel that same way. And I'm sure I find myself being like, oh yeah, like, you know, maybe with a vocal it'll feel more complete. Like I'm like prefacing that.
Yeah, you're needing to
people.
like to qualify it to people, which
Yeah.
I don't think it's a tough one because I've been doing this thing. Kind of my strategy now is it's like there is such an audience out there for instrumental music, and they just want to hear like beats, which is super sick.
that audience is even
Yeah.
bigger than bass music, or
Right.
festival
Yeah.
music by far.
Right.
honestly.
Yeah.
Right, exactly.
Yeah.
And so I've kind of taken this approach, and what I've done I started doing this like, well, I was doing flips like last year. I released like an EP called Something Nice, and it was all instrumental versions of these tracks that I'd already put out with like vocals that I had like, you know, like edits and flips that I had done. But then I put the instrumentals out, and I've gotten a really good response for the instrumentals.
Mm.
And so now like that's kind of my approach, and like making almost two versions for a lot of stuff of like, well, here's like the flip version that like has like the vocal that I like on it, you know, and then I'm gonna also put out the instrumental version, you
Yeah.
know. But then it's also, I think, definitely a direction that like Parker and I are both going is trying to like work just with more original vocalists. Like I'm currently working on an EP that's gonna have all original vocalists on it, you know, original rappers and singers. Parker just did Hoodie Weather, like, you know.
Kind of going back to like Hoodie Weather and the other projects, is that like when you're thinking about these other projects, do these ideas come from a place of like you guys wanting to, like for Parker and Hoodie Weather, like did the idea come from that, like of a want to work with vocalists, or for like you
I
Phil and
gotta
Morning
give a
Coffee,
lot of
like,
credit
a
to-
want to add like turntablism to your guys' stuff, you know what I mean?
Yeah, I hear you. I think I got to give a lot of credit to Alex Unger on Hoodie Weather in general. Like
Ras 5 Alex Unger, by the
Ras
way.
5. Yeah, I got to give a lot of credit to Ras 5 because he was hungry for beats and really like liked my production, and so I felt it. I was just sending him packs of just beats that I was making, you know. And like I said, like you can make 100 beats, but it doesn't turn into anything until you like, you know, bounce that idea off of somebody. So, you know, he really carried the torch and like, you know, picking out the beats, selecting the things that he was resonating with so that he could write, you know, the hooks and the verses on them to make them a song. So my job was just to like throw beats at him until he had a full album, and it kind of just, it worked naturally because he was really digging what I was sending him, and you know, and so
Yeah.
but I'm just like, you know, he's friends with Lucinda as well, so he introduced her to me, and she's an incredible vocalist that I plan on working with a lot more, because, you know, it's just tapping into the network and the people that you have to be able to create something, you know.
Yeah.
It's like, we're not in LA, so I don't know every vocalist and every you know, I can't send my beats to like you know, people that, you know, that are in the mainstream. It's kind of, you got to work with your community and with what you got, and so that's why the collaboration is important, especially at like the community level, is working with the people that you have around you, you know.
Yeah. And just to put a pin in this kind of like collaboration, I mean, we don't have to ever stop collaborating, but I meant like just these projects. You know, what is the delineation between doing something that's like a parkbreezy and then it's with everyone else's names versus like, this is Hoodie weather, or like, this is it based on a sound that is that?
Morning coffee or like groove sauce. Kind of, how do you guys split those up, I guess?
Yeah, what's like the thinking behind
I feel like the stuff with, I don't know, I feel like my solo stuff is grown differently. It's kind of strayed a little bit more away from like lo-fi sample based stuff. Like I still do that from time to time, but like just like learning and improving with like actual sound design over the years, which is, I feel like, where my projects started to go. But like I'll still have those days where I just like, you find that one sample and then just make it, and it'll be like, well, this is just perfect for morning coffee, like type of deal. So it's like, I feel like it's like, for me personally, it's like kind of like a split brain. When it's like something where I go back to like the roots of finding a sample and like, you know, just a drum and a groove, I'm like, all right, this is just perfect for that. And where it's like I could still fit it into my sets, but like the main idea that I have behind it is like, this would be perfect and like go off in a morning coffee set, versus like something else with its more sound design focused or whatever, that'll be just for like my solo stuff.
Okay, that makes sense. Yeah. Because yeah, sorry, go.
No, I was just gonna say that like putting a name behind the project is kind of just like the fun of it, you know.
I'm so glad you said that, because I was thinking
like,
that.
Like Groove Sauce, like the name Groove Sauce came from my dad's hot sauce company that he was he was making hot sauce when I was in high school. He had a cafe called Groove Cafe, and my dad sent us a box of hot sauce when we were collaborating in the studio one day. Joe was working on the studio.
It's so good.
Phil he had his turntable up there. I brought my keyboard up, and that was kind of like how Groove Sauce started, because we were all living together, so it was kind of just very natural and authentic. It was just kind of just putting a name behind something that all three of us were doing, rather than thought process X Pheel X parkbreezy.
Right,
it's kind of just
on the DSPs you can do all of that.
I mean, we've never even released any music as Groove Sauce, you know what I mean?
Like 2 songs.
We have 1 song out, you know, so like, and the mixes, like Morning Coffee, that was
some of my favorite mixes of all time, honestly.
And that was just
love that shit.
Built out of the early days of what we were producing at the time, you know, like a lot of like sample based hip hop, you know, flipping stuff. And Phil, tell the story of Morning Coffee, how Corey like.
Oh man, so before we were on submission or anything, it was like we're just like working at the Black Box, we're living together, and we're just like writing a bunch of just like ideas, and we would just like always send them to Corey, and one day he just made
Corey,
like a
your guy's agent,
yeah, Corey Pfaff, yeah, and one day he just made a post like, would love a mix from Parker and Phil that I could drink my coffee to in the morning, and we're just like, fucking great idea.
Let's do it.
I literally think I remember that Facebook post.
Yeah, it pops up every like 2 years. I feel like it just pop up on like my Facebook memories or something like that. But yeah, it was that, and then like we just already had so many beats, and just putting it together into a mix. And as soon as we got that, just did that and put it out. The artwork for it was found in the catacombs at the Black Box too. It's like a painting on a leaf.
I still have it. It's a letter. Yeah, like a little like it's a little like a little postcard that we just found sitting in the Black Box attic.
And it was in the catacombs
yeah,
because we went into the catacombs the first time, and it was like somebody was living down there.
The
Like, at some
catacombs,
point.
just for people who don't know, the catacombs is like the space under the black box that's like this really bizarre like area with all sorts of crazy like old show stuff. And then there's like definitely like a bed and books, and like someone
Oh my
did live
God.
down there at some point.
I
It's
did not know that's a
it's
thing.
a weird spot. I'm not
I did
gonna
not
lie to
know
you.
that was a thing.
But
Smells.
it's a great place to find something
Some
random
random
and
shit.
fun like that.
But anyway, back to the question, like morning coffee, like we never planned on going by morning coffee. You know, like we were just releasing mixes and calling it a morning coffee mix. We did 1, 2, 3, and then the Rust guys really were, they're like, this is a good idea. This is marketable. You guys should go by morning coffee. And we're like,
Francesco. He was
Francesco,
like,
yeah,
no,
shout out
just
Francesco.
go buy morning coffee.
yeah. And
And
so
so like, really? Like, I don't know. Like, we just like never thought of like a name for it, but like just that was the name of the mix.
yeah.
But makes sense. It works out. And that was like the one thing. It was like with that being interesting, especially not having like a SoundCloud for morning coffee,
Mhm.
anything like that. No social media. It was just the mixes. We like alternate. Like I would put out a mix, he put out a mix, and we put one on the Russ and like all.
Well,
that.
Phil was recording the mixes, and then up until 3, he was like, okay, it's your turn. Like, now you got to record it. And I
Yeah.
was like, all right, okay. And so that
And-
was, that's how we kind of divvied it up where it would live,
And when we did the Swanee, like the Tipper and Friends, it was like the first like I don't know, it was the biggest show I've ever played at that time. It was
What year was that?
21,
21, I think.
That was a sick
Yeah.
year.
Yeah.
22, something.
That's
Yeah.
a sick one.
But like on the flyer, especially like how they have like dinner break kind of put in there and everything, and so it's just like morning coffee, like 4:20 to 5:20 or whatever, and everybody just thought like people were just showing
There
up
was just coffee.
thinking that they were just getting coffee
their-
too,
yeah,
and
coffee.
then it was just like,
Incredible.
what is this? Nobody knew us, anything like that. So it
Was there
interesting.
coffee?
No, there wasn't. Yep.
Damn.
Huh.
No, but we started
played.
doing that. We started
Yeah,
doing
Yeah,
Sonic
we were
Bloom.
doing, yeah.
At Sonic Bloom, we had Allo take over, and we did a morning coffee during the day, and we brought out cold brew, and we were just
We
passing it to
did.
people.
Yeah, that was vibes.
That was fun.
That's sick, dude. Your guys' just thought, I was gonna say thought process, but that was too punny to do. But shout out about about just like hip hop music and not being fully electronic either, but hip hop forward. I feel like it could really bridge some gaps, and I'm sure that it already is with a lot of people.
I
But
mean,
like, yeah,
for me, that's like a huge goal, right? Because I grew up like the first music I loved was hip hop, and growing up, I always loved hip hop. And then in high school was when electronic music started getting popular. Like I remember hanging out in high school and like going on UKF and like finding all the
Oh,
crazy dubstep. Like
oh yeah,
those who were there remember those days
Flux P
fondly.
days.
Yeah, exactly,
Absolutely.
exactly. And like, so that was like a whole era, and that's what got me into DJing. Like that's what got me into this whole scene, that I started meeting people and like making all these connections. But then like the late 2010s was when I was like, I really just like hip hop and R&B. Like that's what I want to do, and
Mm.
it's and it's become so influenced, even in like the heavier, crazier genres of electronic music. They're always using like hip hop samples. Like, it's like the influence is so there, but like let's be real, like the communities that these influences are coming from are not represented at all.
dude.
Right?
I have a real struggle. Like I throw a show in Chicago called House of Beats, and it's like all people. They just come with their SP404. It's all beats that they made, and it's like 15-20 minute sampler, just
Right.
quick and
Sick.
dirty. And all these
Sick.
guys are like hip hop heads, and like it's sick.
Right.
But they don't. I'm not saying none of them are like deep on the production side of things, but like you can get away with having an SP404, do some record samples, and like you never have to really get into
Right.
like MIDI and like all this
Right.
other
How to
stuff.
design any sound, really.
Because I
And
feel like
not to take
feel.
away from their skill set. They're in some of these beats got me like doing a head nod that I didn't think was possible.
right.
And it's
yeah.
and I love it, but there is a slight disconnect because like me, I am deep in a lot of different electronic stuff, and they're just like, yeah, we don't fuck with that. But maybe
Right.
they do in some way.
and the presented in the right manner. Like I think that's the thing, and I
Or-
think that's what we're really trying to work towards, is like, and part of why we're starting to work with hip hop artists, and like why our goal is to work with more hip hop artists, because like that's how you create that familiarity, right? all of a sudden this like hip hop act that these people listen to who have never go to an electronic show, all of a sudden they're playing some electronic show, like there's a headline I'm doing it at the Black Box at the end of May. It's got this dude Trace Chapman on it, and like Trace Chapman is like one of the sickest rappers from Denver.
Can we get a dub siren?
Yeah, from my guy Trace. Like Trace is so sick, and the hip hop community in Denver knows Trace, right? They know him, like, and are super familiar with him. They might not know who I am at all, you know, like, and that's like my goal, right? I'm like, Trace, like, just get your people out there, and I'll get my people out there, and we can like, one, I think also like they don't get to hear the rap tunes on like that sick of a sound system. Like I think hip hop could benefit so much from an electronic influence in terms of like
sound system culture,
also like production quality, like getting those drums to just like really fucking knock, you know, like
okay, decap.
Yeah.
That was the most producer shit ever. Yeah, no, but I feel you.
Quick, Marley, I love that you touched on like the idea of presentation, because as a promoter, and that really being like my role and kind of the role I've played in the scene for as long as I've been involved, that's, you know, something that I'm constantly thinking about, and it's like, how do we present this music that, you know, maybe I love, but it's some realistically UK producer that probably 150 people in Chicago actually know. Like, how do you present that and like push that in a manner that makes it digestible and like familiar to people that might not even know they're actually into that,
right?
You know? So
I think it takes
I
like
love that idea.
I mean, and you just got to build trust, right? You just build trust with your audience, like that's, and I think that's what we've slowly done, you know. It's with the slow build with Allo, is that like we've just kind of remained consistently like doing this thing that we do. We don't like you said earlier, like we're not following a formula. Like you can't tell that we're like, oh, we're gonna try and do this now so we can get like this audience, you know. It's kind of like we're just like making the music that we like, and just like and I think people have come to like really trust us and open their minds to a lot of new stuff. Like, I mean, to be real, like my sound is super West Coast centric, and coming out to the East Coast, playing these shows and stuff, it can be really new for people, like what I'm doing out here, you know, and like it's cool because they trust Phil and Parker, and they trust the Allo brand, and so they're willing to like come out and see me play, and then all of a sudden they're exposed to this whole different like sound and like side of this music that they're already into, you know. And I think that's why also like why Allo is such a like asset and tool for all of us, is it's built this opportunity for us to expand our audiences into people who maybe would never have been into it, but because we like ride for each other and we collaborate and we are still cohesive in what we're doing, it's like allowed us to all gain some really new fans and expose people to new stuff, which I think is really sick.
For sure. Parker, were you gonna you were chiming in like a while ago? I just wanted to
no, I was gonna say something about how you work with the tools that you have. So I feel like, you know, SP404 sample chop in maybe the first introduction, but the further you go, like that was my introduction to making music. And then once I found like tools like, you know, how to craft, like, you know, how to use Serum, you know, how to like influence, how to like use synths with chopping samples, how to like, you know, get your drums to knock, and like how to like, you know, like for me, like Kenny Beats, big inspiration on like hip hop in production meeting a certain quality, you know. Monte Booker was like a really big influence for like pushing like a sound that I had never heard before but felt familiar, like hip hop without real samples but like sound design, you know. And so I think that was like a lot of selection guys like Sango, K.
Selection's like, big in there. Carmack,
exactly. Like
Carmack's got
goat.
A lot.
I mean, Carmack's a goat.
Let's
be real. The kids don't know.
Do the kids not know?
The kids don't know. Dude, you can. We're at this beautiful time where like, we can play those songs, and it's like, to me, a song like Dilemma, Trapped by, which is like that to me is so rinsed. like if you can play that now at a show, because like the kids that are coming out to the shows now don't even know about that
Dude,
stuff.
someone played Drugs,
Dude,
and I was like,
that's
what?
such a banger.
I love this.
Oh
Yeah.
my God.
He's
Yeah.
my favorite. I think if I got Carmack on the podcast, I would genuinely be nervous. But he seems like a nice
Dude,
guy.
Eric,
I've met him a couple
He's a
times.
great guy.
He's a
I'm
great
sure
guy.
he would
He's
hop
definitely
on
a
here,
chat.
honestly.
He's
yeah.
a cool dude.
That'd be crazy.
We'd
Yo,
love to get
Carmack.
back out to Chicago soon for sure.
Bro, you guys have had him through NSW?
We had him in 2021.
Was
We
this
did
at
Mr.
Avondale?
Carmack? Yeah, Mr. Carmack and Oak. It was a
Oh,
sick
great.
show.
Sounds
Super
great.
cool pairing.
Yep.
Yeah.
Makes sense.
Yeah, that'd be
Yeah.
crazy.
Cool dude.
Yeah.
You're talking about Soulection. It's really cool to see them kind of like, obviously they've been huge forever now, but like seeing like Joe K like really popping off right now.
Becoming his
Making
own
beats
artist
now.
now.
Yeah, it's pretty. He's doing some insane stuff.
It's really cool.
Really insane stuff.
Yeah, it's a huge influence for us. I think it just being like an entire kind of lifestyle, like
Yeah.
brand in a lot of ways,
Totally.
really is a model for us as
I think
well.
you guys really crush that kind of
Yeah.
lifestyle imagery. Kind of
Yeah,
vibe, too, for sure.
totally. Yeah, because I mean, we're also all into like fashion and clothes and you know, just all creative aspects, you know, just being an avenue for all creative people who fit this particular vibe and aesthetic to like,
Yeah.
you know, be a part of it. But yeah, Selection. I mean,
What was the
yeah.
other crew that you were talking about?
Cord Marauders?
Yeah. See, I'm not even familiar, but now I want to go dig.
Oh, they're so good. Some of my all-time favorites.
Who
for
were
sure.
some of the guys?
So Kanji, Jafu,
Geode,
Geode,
yeah.
Dude,
B9.
somehow,
Flow.
So good.
somehow that just went over my head.
Yeah.
that
Do some
excites
digging.
me.
yeah.
Yeah.
Check it out. It's really cool.
Because they were releasing the compilations as well with like all their artists on one
No.
Mhm.
compilation. That was like a big inspiration for like putting together a
It's
compilation.
like 140 meets the all low,
Like
low
jazzy-
fidelity,
jazzy,
hip hop
super jazzy.
kind of vibes. Yeah.
Okay.
Sick
Yeah.
stuff.
Jazzy
really
dubstep.
good. Oh my god. Yeah.
Are those guys still like doing stuff?
They're not
so
doing
much.
as much
I know,
Cord
yeah.
Marauder stuff, but
They don't play
did
many
just-
shows.
They
don't
just
play
did
many
a,
shows.
yeah, they did a new release with Nina. Shouts out my guy Nina, Jevin Ives, also
Formerly
known
Day
as
Two.
still
Yeah,
D,
yeah.
still D2.
Still D2.
Still does it all, but
Oh.
but yeah, he just put something out on there, and I know they do things here and there. but-
really like 2013.
Yeah.
It was really big.
Yeah,
Okay.
Like
mid 2010s.
yeah.
I'm like disappointed in myself because I would scrape SoundCloud hard and like I was deep into Selection. You think someone would
yeah.
have maybe cross posted, or I would have.
It's this own
You've heard their
particular
tunes.
rabbit.
You've heard
rabbit
Yeah,
hole,
I probably.
especially Geode. You've definitely heard Geode because
Geode's a cool.
he might
name,
have
too.
even gotten crossed into that Selection world for a little bit. Like
I know that Joe K played a bunch of it on
I'd
one
be
of their
surprised
mixes.
if
Yeah,
these
he
guys are
did.
playing their
Yeah.
tunes.
Where he
yeah.
played like Dillard, J Fu, and like all that.
He
Oh,
did.
Dillard's a great shout and just that
Yeah.
whole world too.
Yeah.
Colorado homie.
yeah, Dylan. Yep.
Yeah. Going kind of back on the Selection thing, this might be a question you guys kind of hate to get, but do you feel like the Selection come up and kind of like I guess how much do you guys feel like the Selection come up and like the recent like Pretty Lights revival and whatnot has kind of lifted you guys up, or how do you guys feel like that's played into what you guys are doing, or maybe not at all?
I don't think so at all. Honestly, I feel like it's all like in our own paths.
Totally.
Yeah.
You know,
Love that.
like I feel like certain people from certain scenes will get really into stuff, and it can like turn into people like finding you and everything. But like,
Right.
I feel like it's like, you know, it's always going to be somebody going away and somebody coming back. Like, it's just like how the music industry works.
Sure.
People take a break and then they come back. It's like almost strategic throughout the industry. It seems like, you know, like
crazy
somebody takes a
strategic, I
break.
feel
Like it's like there's like a Illuminati like at the top. And it's just
All right,
like, all right,
you
you're getting a
duck
break.
out, yeah.
You're gonna come.
You're
back.
done.
You're
Okay.
getting canceled.
Yeah.
But then you're coming back. Like it's weird. Like
That's really funny.
I do really feel like we have like really charted our own path in a lot of ways. I mean,
100%.
it's only
Not to
natural.
say you guys have.
Right. Yeah. It's only natural that people who are into those things could be into what we're doing. But I also think our sound is distinct from that stuff as well in ways.
there's definitely influences.
Of course.
There's influences like from all of this whole spectrum. Like especially when you put like all 4 or 5 of us like into one thing.
Right.
It's like it's such a big outer rim of stuff coming into one.
Yeah, because I think also it should be recognized that Scarian was a really big part
True.
from Denver of
Is
like
he
the beginnings of
still
all.
part of Olo kind of?
I mean, you know, he's
really
still the
focused
homie,
on
but he's
Demdea
he's
and
doing
his-
Demdea, but like I don't think it should be understated that like he definitely had a really big influence, and especially like bringing that like knowledge and appreciation for sound system culture and like dub music and jungle and just like, I mean, Darian is like super tastemaker, super like he knows his shit.
Dude's been doing stuff in Denver for a minute now.
Yeah,
for sure.
exactly.
Yeah.
So yeah, we'd be remiss if we didn't mention Darian in the story of Allo, because he was definitely a big part of it for sure. Scarian, yeah, make sure you go check him out as well if you've never heard of him.
I would just love to. I'm like envisioning it now. It's a sound stack with like a hip hop beat playing over it with the dub siren and just like it's all coming together.
Yeah.
All right, guys. Well, what time are we trying to finish?
It's maybe another 10 minutes or so we got.
All right, so we got to run the fun question.
Ooh, the fun question.
So I like brought this book on as kind of a joke one time. This is my girlfriend's. It was for like, you know, icebreakers at her job, but it's fun. 3,000 questions. Pick a number between 1 and 3,000.
Phil, you go first.
Lots of pressure.
1742.
Holy shit.
1740.
How'd you come up with that number?
No
That's the
idea.
most
It just came to me.
Some of these, I always have to preface, some of these go deep. Oh. Yeah, dude, this is like
It's a deep one.
It's not that deep, it just kind of shows your cards. Do you vote in every election?
Ooh.
Oh god.
Oh man.
You
I
can
mean,
skip.
in all the last ones, but yeah, let's do a different one.
Okay, we'll go to 17.
Cut that out.
Yeah, bye. Do you think there is always something to be thankful for? That's kind of broad.
That's cute.
That is pretty freaking cute. I like that. I mean, there definitely is. I don't even know how to go into that though.
Such a broad. See, this is the thing about this book.
Like,
You can just say
absolutely.
Yeah.
All right, your questions were duds. I'm sorry.
It's all good.
Parker.
Let's do 2025.
2025.
What made you pick that number?
Credit score. No. That would make no sense. What is one thing you'd never be caught wearing?
Ooh.
Like a bucket hat? No, I'm just. I don't know.
I've been known to wear.
You're a bucket guy? Okay, yeah.
Fuzzy
I've
bucket
never,
hat.
I've never rocked a
could rep a
bucket.
bucket
but I think
hat.
I could do it. Yeah.
Never
I
seen him
would-
wear a fuzzy bucket hat though.
Probably wouldn't wear that.
Yeah.
But caught dead? I mean,
I don't know.
Yeah,
Come on,
you guys
there's
can all
something.
answer. By the way,
but for Parker?
Yeah, let me.
Well-
what do you think I should never wear?
What should Parker
I don't know.
What would he look horrible in?
Mohawk.
Ooh, I used to rock a mohawk.
You did?
Good thing you
Really?
stopped.
When I was actually, that's funny. I won't get into that. I'll actually now I would never be caught wearing a mohawk. So
I don't think I would see. I can't see you really wearing like skin tight skinny jeans.
I used to wear skin tight skinny jeans.
dude, me too.
Well, everyone
Mohawk
did,
and
but
skin tight
now
skin-
though,
Fashion trends come and go, you know.
Yeah, when I was listening to
Just riding the
UKF
wave.
Say never.
yeah, when you were UKF.
Yeah, UKF days, I was wearing skinny jeans.
Yeah,
from
true.
The women's section of PAX.
Oh damn! Oh,
No,
you
they
were
weren't-
in it.
They weren't made. No, one of my friends bought a pair of women's jeans, and I was like, "You can do that." And- but
That's allowed.
Yeah.
I will say, women's clothing. There is a lot of fun stuff that they get that men's clothing doesn't get.
If you-
yeah,
go to
except for
thrift.
pockets.
Yeah,
I was just
true.
gonna say that.
True.
And if there's pockets, they're like this big.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's like
a
a
thrift, and then go check out the women's section. You can find some gems in there.
Yeah. That's
Okay.
That's real.
Okay,
That's real.
I believe it. Did anybody else have a net like will not wear this?
Crocs.
Oh,
for me.
dude, I love
I would-
Crocs.
That's
great.
false. Sorry,
And that's
Marley's got
I'm
like
not-
6
I'm saying
pairs.
it's for me, but like I don't know.
Phil. I'll find you
That's
some Crocs.
right,
Whatever.
Crocs
it's
is
all
on
good,
some
different strokes,
fashionable
you
shit
know?
these days, bro. I'll get you.
Dude,
some.
whatever.
They're in,
Go-
man.
yeah,
They're in
you
right now. They're in.
idiocracy.
Oh my god.
Oh yeah, that
Get
is
outta
funny.
here.
The Crocs are my backyard shoe.
Dude,
Yeah,
I respect
That's
it for
valid.
something like
That's
that,
valid.
but like
Go to the
people
dog
wearing
park?
them like out. Ow.
Like you go to
Yo,
the
you're
club.
Definitely not rocking Crocs in
Yo,
the
if
club.
La Russell could
I've
hear
seen
this
it.
right now, he would be so pissed.
I don't
You know
who
La
it is.
Russell? Oh, sick rapper from the Bay Area, and he reps Crocs so hard. And
They're comfy.
respect.
And
No, I'm
They're
not-
comfy. They're functional. They
I'm just
make.
saying it's not me.
They got stylish designs now, bro. Trust. Haven't you seen my tan ones that I have?
Dude, I have a pair of like tan whatever off-white ones. Those
Yeah.
are hot.
Yeah.
Anyway,
What are the decorations for Crocs called?
Oh,
Giblets.
Giblets.
You have giblets?
I don't have giblets.
I'll be
No,
rocking
none of mine can take giblets. None of my,
I don't have giblets.
all of my
either.
Croc designs, they don't have the holes like that. So
Oh,
Is that even a Croc?
interesting.
yeah,
It's
they're
a-
Crocs,
they
bro.
got-
The
Look,
Echo,
they got a
the
couple.
Echo, the Echo ones, dude.
We're speaking the
Damn,
same
I
language.
really-
Yes.
All right.
Uh,
Number.
736.
Okay, 736. Did you apply to or win any scholarships? If so, what kind? I'm sorry, I didn't mean to
That's-
judge that question.
I mean,
Maybe there's an answer.
yeah, I mean there
School,
is, but
lame.
like boring,
Boring.
boring. Let's do a different one.
I'm just gonna pick one here.
Yeah.
The one below it's not good.
Yeah, I'm
oh,
not afraid to go deep either.
what's the most embarrassing thing your parents did to you as a kid? Actually, that's kind of good because like we referenced your
Throw
parents.
at music
Yeah.
festival.
Oh, honestly, my parents were like never really that embarrassing. I can't really remember.
They sound dope.
I
Yeah,
mean,
they sound really
oh,
cool.
my parents are super cool for sure. I mean, my parents that they did to me as a kid, I don't even know.
They ever like send you out on stage to go do something? You're like, oh no.
Not really. I mean, they like encouraged me. I did this lip sync contest when I was young in Telluride.
Here we go. Here we go.
I got third place.
Oh.
I did Mick Jagger. I was Mick Jagger.
Which song?
I wore lipstick.
Oh my God. Let's go.
And I sang, I think, can't always get what you want. You know? So, I mean, I guess that's kind of embarrassing, but like when I say it back, I'm not very embarrassed.
You kind
by
of did it to yourself.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
As long as you owned it, I mean, like,
Yeah.
fuck it, we ball.
Yeah. Well, my parents, they weren't really on that like goofy shit, you know? So
It seems like they have good taste.
Yeah. Yeah. I'd say so.
Okay, Joe, you want to do one? It's your first time
Yeah,
on the
yeah.
show.
Number 867.
Okay. What? Some of these questions. How often do you laugh? I don't get it right now.
I hope at least a few times a day. I strive to laugh a few times a day.
If you were just like never, we'd be like, "Are you okay, bro?" Like
Last time I laughed was
Sometimes I do consciously think to myself, I need like some laughter, as in like maybe I'll go listen to some like a comedy podcast or
Right,
something
yeah.
goofy. You know what I mean?
Totally.
But yeah, that was a weird one.
At least
We got
a
some
couple times a day.
couple times a day. Yeah, keeps the doctor away.
that's great.
All right, so we also do a wrap-up question, which is, and we'll try to, make it quick. I know you guys got to get out of here, but we talked about your first concert, but I want to talk about a concert that was like, very impactful to you. And it could be maybe a show that you guys did together. It doesn't have to be, but a show that you walked away from that you were like, wow,
That we performed at.
it doesn't have to be a performance. It could be a performance.
Okay.
It could be a show that you just went to and saw.
Okay.
The first thing that comes to mind for me is just San Diego, the first stop of the tour, because this is the first all-low tour that we've ever put together. And like a concept that started back in 2017 of throwing shows with your friends with empty dance floors, it turned into a nationwide tour with my best friends. And so I think that was like, it really, just was a reminder. It sparked like this whole next evolution of what we feel like we can do and how special this moment really is. So I think that was a good one. Yeah, San Diego was great. Just to
Snaps.
start it off right.
100%. 100%. Phil?
Hell yeah.
Oh man. I'm
Why
trying
do-
to think.
I just started thinking about, why do people snap? It's like instead of clapping.
Yeah, jazz.
Jazz,
it's,
baby.
It's way more classy.
You're right.
Um,
Subtle.
Shit.
Shit. You did talk about that Tipper show. That was
Yeah, that was, I don't know. I feel like that was one that just like put us on the map, like even just like Allo on the map. Like I feel like, especially in like that side of
I feel like that was like
music.
the first big show I ever really saw you guys play in terms of like,
Yeah.
you know, bigger festival scale stuff.
Before
for
that,
sure.
like maybe I don't know, me personally, maybe the biggest I've ever played to was like 400 or 500 people, and that one was like 7,000 people.
That's a big jump.
Yeah, it was a big jump.
Did it make you feel did you feel more legitimate in your like musical pursuits after that show? Like was that like an affirming moment?
I think
for
so.
you?
I
Yeah.
think it went as good as we possibly could have done it. Like I felt like we had the set
Swanee?
list down. Yeah, Swanee.
That shit was popping.
Yeah,
That
I
definitely
really don't
was
think
like
we could have done it any better in that moment.
That felt like that was like definitely the best that we had
Everyone's
to
getting
offer
down
at
during
that
that
time.
set.
Yeah.
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 And another thing that is cool about Morning Coffee is like I'll bring out the keyboard and play keys, and like I think that's the fun is like we could like, you know, pass off riffs. Like I'll play keys and you do the scratching. I think that was just like, you know, a fun moment that we made it to a bigger stage doing that.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I just remember going up there, like literally going to scratch, and my hands are just shaking. And I remember scratching while my hands were shaking, and it sounded so sick.
It
Because it was,
sounded
dude, it was just like, because it was just like a little bit more movement or whatever. And I was just like, I remember like, all right, cool, it works. And then the jitters went away. And then I felt like it was like, oh, it didn't sound as cool as that time. Just me shaking from
You
being.
need the jitters.
Dude, it was like that extra rhythm. You had like an LFO.
Yeah, exactly. Like a very fast,
yeah, like
small
a
LFO,
fluttery
just
one.
like
Pulsing through you.
Yeah. Interesting. Okay.
I have like two that kind of tie together. One that I attended and the one that I did, and the one I attended was Barasoni's Sunrise set at Shambhala in 2017. At that time, I had like just moved to Colorado and was kind of at this like weird point in my musical career. I'd been doing music with my buddy for a while, who was still living in LA, and we were doing much more like trappy, like heavier bass music stuff. And I was kind of feeling like I was losing touch with that a little bit, and was kind of like, what am I like kind of doing? And Barasoni, along with some other music I saw that weekend, but his set, he just like played all this like hip hop and R&B on this like on like my favorite stage in the world, on this incredible dance floor, and like it got this incredible response, and it just like showed me that I could play the music that I really wanted to play in these settings that I never really felt like it would be appropriate, you know? And so like that set at the Grove Sunrise to me was like the penultimate set. Like one day I want to do that. And then in 2022, I got to do that. I got to play a Sunrise set at the Grove at Shambhala.
Oh, yeah.
And it was like the moment.
Thank you.
It was like my,
That-
like these guys were saying, like when they did Morning Coffee, like it felt like it was the best thing I had to offer at that moment in time as an artist. It felt like everything that I had worked for and that like I had envisioned and all the time like culminated in this like moment, you know, and like tons of my best friends were there. My partner Jenny was there. My parents were there. Like it was like probably like still one of the most crazy experiences I've had in my life, being a creative person, of like this was my goal, right? This was the complete goal, and I like did it.
yeah, you full circled there.
Right, you know, which was crazy. And that was, and it was a super affirming moment too. I think that was kind of a moment when in my head where I was like, all right, I'm going to take like all of this a lot more seriously, because like there's obviously something here, you know, and I owe it to myself to give that energy to it, you know.
Yeah, pursue that for sure.
Yeah.
Sick. Congrats, man.
Yeah, thanks.
All you guys. Yeah, that other show sounded sick too. Did you have another one there? Or was that
Well, it was kind of those
Okay,
led
okay,
into
yeah,
it.
yeah,
So
yeah,
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 that set influenced me to basically take it to a point where 5 years later I could do what I wanted to do, you know.
Okay. Joe, is there anything you wanted to add, or otherwise we wrap?
No, I feel like we touched on pretty much everything. If you guys, everything you guys wanted to cover, chat about.
I think
anything.
the only thing is just like, depending on when this comes out, be on the lookout for the rest of our tour. You know, we're about halfway through when we're recording this, and we're gonna be all around. Come and see us. We're playing tons of new music.
How many dates do you guys have on that tour, by the way?
I think it was 26 or 27 dates.
Sick.
Yeah.
Crazy to see.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it's insane, and everyone has been so kind and to us, and it really, we say it at every show, but it should be stated here, like, it means so much to us, everyone that comes out and supporting this and what we're doing. Like, we're doing this all like ourselves, like together, you know, ourselves together, but you know, we have a small team. We don't have anyone really, like, besides our agent Corey, who we owe a lot of appreciation to, and our partners. We all have really great partners that support us in all of this and like help us. Shouts out Natalie Parker's.
Shouts out Natty B. I love
She's
you.
like runs our marketing and like is incredible for us. And so everyone that comes out, like, we're just super, super grateful. And I know these guys got music coming out soon. I mean, we all do. So I'll let them shout that out.
Be on the lookout.
Yes, music on the way.
I've had this EP. It's just been done. It's just done and ready, but I'm just gonna put it out randomly. I think I like that approach to it, instead of being like, because you just like announce like, oh, EP coming in 2 weeks, and then like, you know, you get a lot of attraction on the like, oh, it's coming, and then when you announce it, it flops, which makes no sense. So I'd like to just out of nowhere, just boom, here's an EP. Like, I like that method a lot. So
that stirs up hype in itself.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yeah. Because nobody's expecting it, I guess, and especially don't talk about it at all, and then just so
So
I think
keep your eye out.
Yeah.
sometime between now and
Some other
then.
time. Yeah. Word. Well, I always do shout outs too, but I feel like you just kind of did it for me, so appreciate that. Unless there's someone else there like, we need to shout them out. But
We'll shout you out for having us.
Yeah,
We really
dude,
appreciate
thank you
it.
so much.
dude, thank you guys for coming. Joe, thank
Great
you
chat.
for
Shouts out
facilitating.
NSW.
Yeah.
NSW for having us and
Shout
supporting
out.
us all these years.
Cairo Ale House, just
Always.
Yeah.
Yeah. R.I.P.
R.I.P.
Big R.I.P.
That was
For
definitely
sure.
damn.
It's an era in itself, for
yeah,
sure.
for real.
Yeah, I feel like we could continue to talk, but you guys got a show to get to. Go check out Allo Collective and every Pheel, parkbreezy, TF Marz. Go check them all out. And yeah, thank you guys for listening. And if you made it this far, we appreciate you listening. And we'll catch you next time. Peace.
Peace out. Much
Peace.
love.
Yo, what's up, guys? This is your host, Jerry. Thanks for tuning in. If you enjoyed the episode, don't forget to like and subscribe. If there's someone you'd like to see on the show, leave a comment below. And if you're listening on a podcast platform, we'd appreciate it if you leave a review and hit that 5-star rating. Thank you for your support, and we'll catch you on the next one.